like leaves on their way out. I don't ever want to lay all my cards out on the line. Then why do I
Hi all! Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this makeup look, which focuses on the blush that I've used on my skin and also the eyeshadow look, which is perfect for spring and summer. I'm going to be using these new purchases that I got from Natasha Denona. There is a blush palette and an eyeshadow palette. I don't say this very often, but I feel like these purchases are going to be something that I'm going to be using every single day during spring and summer. I really love the formulas, and I was very shocked to find out that these colors were very workable on my skin. I'm going to show you a wearable way to wear these bright colors, such as these bright greens and yellows we have here. There's also some purples, but if you use it in a certain way, you can make the look quite wearable and not so jarring, if that is what your taste is. So I'm going to be using that one. And then I also have this diamond and blush palette, which comes in this beautiful pink packaging. And this is quite large for a blush palette, but I am a massive fan of blush. I love the look of blush if I'm not wearing any makeup, such as foundation, or if I've got foundation on and I want to give it more of a pop. So we've got like a natural tone here, and we've also got some nice bright pops of colours. So it'll be very interesting to see how these turn out on the skin and whether or not they are as jarring as they appear in the palette. Stay watching to find out how I get an eye look using these two palettes. I tend to like to use a little bit more of a glowy, deeper shade of foundation, just because it gives me that sun-kissed look, which I really love. And I will just use that around the perimeters of my face. Now, we're not so much going to be focusing on foundation today, but it's more going to be about the blush and an eyeshadow look. So when I'm trying to be natural with my foundation, what I will do is use the darker color on the neck, and I will bring this all the way down to the collarbone, like this. And then I will use it on the top, just where the sun hits the face. So I'll focus it on the forehead and just shape around the forehead. And I won't even so much bring it through here. I will just go completely around and then underneath the jaw, like this, and then down the neck. And then with a lighter shade of foundation or even a concealer, I will just dot where I would like to lighten, and then I will use the same brush. And what I will do with that same brush is just slightly buff it in. Now, the brush that I'm using is very dense, and it is also very wide as well. So it is really good for picking up product and buffing it in. Now the liquids are done on the face, I'm just going to set my foundation with a compact powder. This will add a little bit of coverage as well. And then under the eyes, I'm just going to use a loose translucent powder, and I'm just lightly dusting that underneath the eyes. And a little bit on top of the eyes, just to get rid of any moisture that might interfere with the shadows. For the brows, I just want them to be a little bit closer together. So what I'm actually going to do is use residue from an eyeliner shadow brush, and it's an angled one, and what I'll do is just slightly go underneath the brow and then use little flicking motions to bring in that brow just that little bit closer. And this just brings more focus to the center of the face And it's really good to use this technique for brows that are sparse in the beginning without making them look too blocky. This will just add that little bit more of a definition. And then to finish off the brows, I'm just going to use a little bit of brow mascara, and this is in a lighter shade than what my brows are naturally, and it will just add a tint to the brows. So I want to pop straight into one of the fun colours. So out of all of these colours here, I think I'm going to use Aphrodite and a little bit of Eon, because this Eon colour looks really interesting to me. And I think I'm going to mix the two and then start the crease with that colour. So the more I blend these colours in, the more I see that they're actually formulated very differently. And one is a lot more pastel than the other one. They do mix very well together, but you could also use them separately for a completely different look. These eyeshadows are not to be messed with. As you can see, there is already so much pigment on the eye, and this is just from those two very light shades. So this one is very, very pigmented. It is almost like if you would wear this one, you would have a little bit more of a corally, a little bit more of an aqua kind of a appeal to the eye, whereas this one adds that little bit of warmth but then takes it to like this couchy kind of a green color, and I really like how they look together. I could just wear this look, I would be happy with this look with a little bit of mascara, but I'm going to play around with the other color called Scarab. I'm going to play with the color called Scarab, and I'm going to see what that looks like for a little bit more punch to the eye look, and yeah, take it to those limits. But so far what I can say about this palette is that I think it is very, very high quality. In comparison to Too Faced palette, in comparison to the Too Faced palettes, these ones work a lot more easily on the eye. They blend so much easier. Even though I didn't properly prime my eye beforehand, I like to test the palettes for exactly what they are, and they worked so well so far on the eye. I feel like they've completely mattified the area as well. So what I'm going to do is grab a little bit of Scarab and a little bit of Scrap. The names are so funny on this one. So Scrap is this one, and I'm going to use it on the outer corner, and then I'm going to use Scarab on the center. I don't want to go too high with this one because I don't want to disturb the other colors. So I'm just placing it in there with this one, and this is just going to make my eyelashes look like they're a bit more full. So Scarab is a very pigmented and very blendable pigment in this eyeshadow. So the effect that I'm getting on the eyes is that usually I would have wet the brush and then applied a little bit of the eyeshadow and then made that line, but this has made a line so sharp with just the product itself, with nothing else on my brush, and I'm very shocked by this. I don't think I've ever experienced such high quality shadows before. I am really pleased with how this is just looking. I really want that light ethereal kind of a color. I feel like a pixie or something, and I think that if I just slightly blend out that line, then I think I'm finished with this eye look. Just with a clean brush, I'm going to make sure that there are no harsh lines on the outside of the eyeshadow. And what I'm doing is just flickering very lightly. Anything that is built up will be fallen off after doing this step. Then going back in with the original colour, I'm building up this inner part here. And this will just give a little bit more unison to the colour and kind of incorporate it with the face a little bit more. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I'm excited now because I get to use the blushes. So let's find out how they work. So the blushes come in two different formulas. Now when you have a look at the products, you can see that there is a little plastic, which is so luxury, this packaging. There's a plastic here that covers the top formulas. So if I just lift that up there, you can see that on the bottom, these are very finely milled, and I just know that I'm going to be using these on a daily basis. The formula is quite liquidy. So today, to match this eye look, I think I'm going to be using a little bit of this cream one. So this looks like it's going to be a bit more red. And then I'm going to also use maybe a bit of diamond powder just to give it a little bit more of a punch. And then I'm going to use this one obviously on top just to see what it looks like. And I might also use this one on the brow bone. So I'm going to use my finger and I'm using the cream blush in the middle. And I'm just going to start by the apples of the cheeks. Well, it's a lot easier to use than a lipstick, that's for sure. Wow, this looks beautiful. I can see myself using this just on its own, and which is what really drew me to this palette because of the versatility. And sometimes I don't wear any eyeshadow and I find that just a palette that I can grab with multiple different blush tones in it just makes it a bit more interesting on a daily basis. I'm definitely punching this up. I think I might stop there. It looks very natural. I do think that it is quite dewy though, and I think that for my skin type I would probably have to set it to avoid it from smudging or disappearing throughout the day. I'm going to use now the Diamond Powder blush, and this is a very intense, very intense. I'm going to pop one swipe and one swipe just on the front parts and on the nose. This would look very good for a special occasion. I feel like this could look really good for a photo shoot. And lastly, I'm just going to finish up with this color here and pop it on the high points of my cheeks. Wow, oh my goodness. I cannot even believe the pigment that's just come from that. This eyeshadow look really does work well with this last colour that I'm applying to my face. Lastly, I'm just going to curl my lashes and apply mascara. And one last bit, I promise this is the last bit. So I'm going to pop some of this Natasha Denona lip gloss, and it's also a lip balm. And I find when I wear this, it's very hydrating. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm very pleased with Natasha Denona's palettes. I can honestly say that they are the best quality palettes that I've ever used through my makeup career and also just coming to date. Palettes formulas have changed so much and I am just so blown away with these palettes. I think that I'll be using them a lot during spring and summer, and the blush palette is honestly my fave. I just find that having a palette of this size looks like it's something that is a little bit unnecessary, but for someone that just likes to use a little bit of blush during the day, and usually on a day-to-day basis you do get tired of the one blush that you use, so I find that having all of these options is just so cool, and I can use these on days when I'm a bit more bronzed in the skin. This is a very good no makeup look, and then these colors just have so much punch for a night look, an evening look, or you could just pop them on the lid as well. The thing about the eyeshadow palette that I really love is that it has at the back these little pressed out pans, and you can take them out and then travel with them or pop them in a palette that's more useful for you. You can take out the more neutral tones or the warmer tones, and you can use them for, you know, just a little bit of a wash over the eye during autumn and summer. I can honestly say I've never worn an eyeshadow look like this out in public, but it is definitely something that I'm going to be wearing from now on. Also, these purple shades are kind of shades that look like they can all go together, and something that I did notice when using this palette is that the rows look like they can be used together. So you've got all these colors that could be one eye look, and as same as these ones, which are all a bit more neutral and purple, and then these are a lot more warmer than the other two as well. So I find that really cool, as well as the packaging design looks really awesome. I'm very pleased with these palettes, and now I know why there's such a hype around them. I do recommend these if you're looking for something a little bit out of your comfort zone, all it takes is a little bit of practice and you can come up with some really enjoyable looks.